it comes to weakness, it's something that we should work on, or something that we are not so good at. That's our weakness, and something we would like to improve. For example, when it comes to me, my weakness is maybe that I'm too honest or too open when I speak to people. For example, I don't wait for my emotions to I never suppress my emotions. Maybe it's my weakness. Or the other weakness is that I talk sometimes I talk loudly, and people think that I yell at them. That's also my weakness. And another thing, I have no idea, weakness. For example, in some skills, I have some weaknesses, but I'm not sure whether to talk about it, or I'm talking about weaknesses in communication mostly.
Okay.
It was somehow enough. We
Right.
all have weaknesses we should work on.
Right. We all have a weakness that vary a person to person. So you mentioned that somehow your sounds like when you speak, it's like you are yelling to somebody. It
Yes.
it
Yeah.
predict like that. It seems like that, and
Yeah. I
and
have a loud voice. I have a loud volume of voice. That's what actually I'm not screaming. I'm not yelling at people, but and because of that, people think that I'm strict. But actually, I'm not so strict. Maybe because of my voice or something else.
okay. And the second option you mentioned that you are honest. You mentioned
Too
that,
honest. Too
yeah,
honest. Too honest.
and
Sometimes it's weakness nowadays. It's not
it's,
something that is good. It's
hmm,
actually a weakness.
really in this era to be honest, it's really a big weakness. I also consider that, and I
Yeah.
faced this thing. Even my father also faced this thing, because the two qualities that you mentioned, that my father has the same two qualities, like their voice pitch is very high, and the other person heard that the person is screaming on me, but that's not the real thing. And the second is that my father is very honest and they are very straightforward. And I also question my father, why are you so honest? So when you are going to your honesty, so it's really bother you somehow in a particular situation. But they told me that I don't care about the people opinion. I go with my honest nature, and yelling is not my personality, but it's also not totally my responsibility to cure my things, like yelling. Other person has a responsibility, because everybody has a brain. The person should understand that the behavior of the personality, right? We also consider in our communication. For example, usually when I communicate to a somebody, I prefer to be a silent and try to observe the personality, like their behavior, their pattern, like their behavior pattern. And when I within my listening plus observation, I get a conclusion that the behavior of the personality, and I try to interact with that way. So the relation can become a genuine, because not you are not trying to harm somebody. You are trying to cooperate with the person, so that the interaction will be go very smooth in a well manner. But somehow when person thought that you have a personality like to screaming, to yelling, but in a somehow manner we should also confess, and we should also try to tell the person it's not, I'm not yelling. It's my personality. It's a part of my personality. My voice pitch is high and it's go usually on daily basis. So if the other person is really have a such a kind of maturity, so that the person will really understand you. And that
Yes,
will
but not when you speak with those people for the first time, for example.
right, right.
When you speak to them for the first time, it's somehow they get the first impression about you, and it's difficult to change it.
Right.
That's what I was talking about. But when people get to know me better, I don't have these kind of problems. But if they don't know me well, they get the feeling that I'm strict and that I'm yelling and that I want to be the main one in the room. But it's not actually like that.
And it's happen on a daily basis. When for example, if you're interacting with me a first time and you have a high volume pitch, so if I have this body language, so I will be go down this way. What, why this person is screaming on me? But when you convey that, that's not that you think about myself. Okay.